The following episode of the Maui Chamber of Commerce's Business Matters was originally broadcast on May 24th, 2022.
Good morning and welcome to the Business Matters radio show brought to you by Mokulele Airlines. And here's your host, Pam Tumpao.
Aloha and good morning. Today we are going to have an exciting show. We are going to hear from a local builder who will share challenges the building community is experiencing with keeping workers in place, finding solutions to address housing challenges, and the role government should play in solving these challenges. We're going to speak with a local leasing manager at Queen Kahumana Shopping Center and get an update on the retail industry. We're going to learn about upcoming pop-ups and new stores and hear how tenants are handling the worker shortages. Excuse me, my breath is a little short today. And we're going to hear from the owner of Maui Sweet and Spicy on how her company has pivoted during COVID and her participation in the Pakolea Pitch program. But first, we're going to begin with Dr. Jennifer Salisbury. Dr. Salisbury is a longtime Maui Chamber member and supporter. She is also a current member of the construction industry of Maui, as well as the Chamber. She and her husband, Michael, do all they can to bring more housing options to Maui, and their latest venture is Ready Tiny Homes, which utilizes her husband Mike's contractor's license and Jennifer's communication skills directly with tiny home manufacturers. She has several tiny homes on Maui now, and out of necessity for housing of her employees has been working in this area, and she works to continue to build housing. She is actively seeking more ways to get tiny homes permitted on Maui to help our entire community. Aloha and good morning, Jennifer. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Aloha. Thank you for having me.
So you have been experiencing the challenges that many have been seeing with trying to keep their workers employed in their business when the workers can't find housing. Tell us about that.
Well, in the construction industry, you know that in the construction industry in general, the work is hard. It's usually on Maui, it's hot, and it's very physical. And so just the work itself is difficult on Maui. But then you've got other industries that are having lots of demand for workers. And so there's lots of temptations for those in the construction industry that say, you know, I've always wanted to be a cake baker or a kindergarten teacher. And they'll jump into a different industry. And so we're finding that's the case as well. But one of the biggest problems that we're having is our employees are coming to us saying our rental is getting sold out from underneath us.
Yes.
Usually from someone who's coming here from the mainland, but not always. And they're saying we have absolutely nowhere to go, and they're living in their cars.
Yeah.
And these are full-time, skilled construction industry employees, and Michael and I have no choice but to figure out solutions. Otherwise, we can't continue to build housing. I mean, the workers will simply go away. Mm-hmm.
You know, we hear this in so many industries, and it is a top priority not only for the Maui Chamber of Commerce, but all chambers statewide. We had a meeting at the beginning of legislative session, and we were all seeing the exact same thing. And it's interesting, you know, hearing that you're in the home building industry.
Yeah.
And I think that dichotomy is really important to share because people think, well, home builders, they have homes for, you know, they build homes, so it's not a challenge there. And yet it is.
It absolutely is. And ironically, throughout the pandemic, Michael and I had been pursuing permits on utilizing the new accessory dwelling unit for 3 permitted dwellings on a parcel that we ended up buying before the pandemic. And it's taken us that long to get permits. We got permits last summer. And so we're balancing between our normal housing projects, which we're trying to build, but we're also trying to do a concurrent build, which is going to end up being employee housing. So which comes first, the housing that you're trying to provide to the community or the housing for your employees? I mean, it's just the most unbelievable situation I've ever been in my whole life. And so we're doing this concurrent build so that we can continue building in general.
Yes.
It's crazy.
It is really crazy. And again, more time, more workers to do both things at once, longer hours to try and make this all happen. And this is one of those times where we're all really reaching far and wide to get important solutions in place, because what we've seen through COVID is we knew we had a housing challenge. The problem is exacerbated by COVID, but now it's exacerbated as we're moving through COVID by changing world dynamics and changing, where people are changing where they want to live and what kinds of lifestyles they want to have. And it's a huge shift that we're all just grappling with. So you're somebody who's a builder that's been working on solutions for a long time. And you've got a lot of different ideas. What do you see as key ways to address this problem that not only your business is facing, but other businesses in the entire community?
Well, I think this is a global innovation here on housing. The United States is not alone in this, and there's a lot of communities in general that can learn from, let me back up. There's a lot of communities that are thinking innovatively that Maui can watch, learn, and repeat, specifically in the area of tiny homes and planned communities with tiny homes. Michael and I started a construction site build about 18 months ago, and he ended up buying a tiny home as a site trailer. And when he told me what he originally did, it's a 20-foot container trailer that it has pop-outs on both sides. And so it pops out into an almost 400 square foot tiny home. And when he explained to me what we were going to have on the construction site, and this was going to be our site trailer, I thought he was crazy. And what ended up happening was anytime anybody came to the site, they would take pictures of it, inside, outside, all over the place. And it has now become a movement where it's like, what can we do with these tiny homes that are ready housing? I mean, this is what we need. And so as a result now, we've been sourcing these tiny homes, and literally by the day, Pam, I'm getting phone calls, emails. This movement has been gaining momentum because the homes are comfortable. Maui is a great location weather-wise to have a tiny home. Now, I wouldn't do this in Alaska or any place that's got lots of snow or anything like that. That's not what this is meant for. But for Maui's climate and for Hawaii in general climate, we're having people reach out to us from Florida. There are other similar weather places that are reaching out going, hey, we want to do this too. And we're learning lessons from other communities on the mainland and beyond that have done these tiny home movements. But we're running into some challenges, which is where government comes in.
Yes. So tell me, as you're going through this, and we're going to definitely talk about where government comes in, because that is a huge piece and one of the keys to helping us solve this issue. What are some of the features that people are finding about tiny homes that they really enjoy? And what are some of the concerns with tiny homes that you folks have recognized and worked to overcome?
Mm-hmm. So the tiny homes that we've brought in and that we're using, I mean, I'm sitting in one of my tiny homes right now. People are enjoying the fact that it is ready housing. I mean, one of the local tow truck companies came in on a 20-foot flat deck, lowered it down, winched it down, and we had it unpacked in less than a day. And the fact that you can have it that quick, people are saying, wow, that's pretty amazing. Now, there's challenges in some of that is that saying, hey, wait a minute, I'm living in Haiku and the trades blow in and my tiny home leaks. Well, you can't have it all ways, but it does leak. But there's, we've overcome some of that going, okay, we can put a roof package on it or we can put mass deck on it. So there are ways to overcome the challenges, but it's almost like with the tiny homes, you've got to learn where you put these homes and the specific challenges almost in the unique spots and the sites that people want them in. And so they're enjoying that they're quick, that they're relatively inexpensive, they're comfortable. Is it like a brick and mortar house that you would actually, new construction, which is running $300 a square foot or more for new things? No, that's not the pricing we're talking about at all. But then we're running into issues of, well, can this be permitted? Do I have to have permits to have it on a permanent slab, to have it as an asset as a part of my home? Are there ways around that? There's all kinds of questions there. And so the good, ready housing, relatively inexpensive, comes up pretty quick, but there are lots of challenges to overcome as well.
Yeah, and it's something that I know that you are working hard to push through. When we talk about, as you point out, I'm astounded to hear unpacked in a day. I mean, that's just phenomenal. A day. We unpack it, and there it is. So that's one of the remarkable things about it. And again, we have to work through and address the permitting issues and things of that nature. And you talk about, again, it's ready, it's affordable. Let's talk a little bit about what affordable looks like in that realm, because the numbers are pretty good.
Yeah, well, so when we talk about pricing, we've got to talk whether we're talking temporary or we're talking permanent. And when we're talking tiny homes, when we're talking temporary, that means it's on wheels. And that's typically what people are used to when they're talking about planned communities. And so tiny homes are on wheels, and they can hook them up to a vehicle and cart them around. And as a result, you have to register them with the Department of Transportation and has to have a license plate. So the tiny homes that we have been working with can be put on wheels. And so tiny homes that we've put on wheels, delivered to Kahului Harbor, we're offering about $60,000. And that's just straight up on wheels. Put it to your site, whether the site's level or not. It's temporary. This is temporary. But then when you're talking permanent, now we're talking about foundation, we're talking structural, shear wall, wind loads. It gets a lot more complicated. And so, when you buy a little bit more, we're trying to sell them in packages. We're trying to promote these the tiny home communities. But Mike and I are both offering that, in the low 100,000, 100,000 plus, that we could have it set up permanent, and we would attempt to permit it. And so, is it easy? No, it's not. But innovation didn't come out of comfort.
Excuse me. No, that's right. Innovation did not come out from comfort. And this is a time where we've all been working to be more innovative over the last few years, and now, that work really continues. Thank you so much for staying on this journey and for continuing this fight. So let's get to the crux of it, because so much of this comes down to a couple of really important things. Land, where people can place these homes on, appropriate places, appropriate planned communities, and permitting, and resources. Tell me about what you see as government's role in helping to solve those types of challenges, and where can government prioritize to be most effective with funding?
Right. Pam, I've always maintained that a developer, regardless of how big or how small this developer is, all a developer needs to improve a parcel of land is a permit. And from that, a developer can get permits from zoning, from community plans, and when you can get that permit into the developer's hands, housing happens. And the land cost is always one of the biggest challenges when we're talking about housing in any way, because once you talk about the land, then you instantly go into infrastructure. What is the cost of the first unit, right? Because once you get water and wastewater and in electric and in all of these things. Now, of course, when we're talking about tiny homes, we can also skew and go, well, we could talk off-grid. We can talk ag. We can talk catchment. We can talk solar panels. It goes completely askew, which changes prices, right? But it still comes down to the land. And because the tiny homes are so new and such an anomaly, Maui County doesn't know what to do with it quite yet. And I would love to do a planned community of, we had talked about this previous, about 15 tiny homes, and make it a community where you've got people who care and love about each other. And that's exactly what, Michael and I have strived to create for many decades. And so but the government's role, the biggest challenges that we oversee is water, tying into water, if we're going to use county water, wastewater, Department of Health tying into wastewater for black water. How are you going to deal with that? There may be access issues. There may be site issues. Remember, if we're talking permanent structures, now we're talking about permanent slabs. We're talking about hurricane tie-downs. We're talking about shear force. All of these things, it changes, and there's probably 20 or 25 variables that vary between each and every single site when we're talking about permanent structures. It's not just, tiny home on wheels anymore, which is temporary. So government's role, if we've got to innovate. If we can't innovate, our workers are going to go get on a plane and leave. That is already happening. They're getting arrested because they're sleeping in their cars at parking lots. It's already happening. It's happening to my personal workers. And so this is where government's got to step in and say, you know what, if we're going to keep our talent on Maui, then we've got to innovate. And I am all ears. I am working every single day, no kidding, every single day, trying to make sure that we keep our workers here, that we provide housing, and that we're continually trying to innovate. And this tiny homes movement is taking off. It's amazing.
It's really time, and I just want to say that I know others are looking at this and working on it. Councilmember Tasha Kama is talking about this as well, and the Chamber is absolutely looking at this and many other mechanisms. So you're right, it's time, and we need to look at some solutions. And again, I love that you shared this is something that is a really big movement. It's a global movement, and there are examples. We can go online and find how others have been, who are ahead of us, what they've been doing and how they've been doing it. And, of course, we're not saying that every global or national model works on Maui. Obviously, Maui is very unique. We have different conditions, a different environment. But we can look at what can work. And we've got to just start getting outside of that box and moving forward.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
And so, we were talking the other day, and one of the things you said to me is not only how reasonable and excited people are about this solution, but how turnkey it is. Share with our listening audience about how long it takes to get a home like this in.
Yeah. So we typically, if we're going to ship in 2 20-foot tiny homes, from the time we place the order, it takes approximately 100 days, so roughly 3 to 4 months, roughly, depending on timing and world circumstances, to get these tiny homes to Kahului Harbor, and then we unpack them, and then they can be shipped directly to the site. So typically, like today's May 24th. If we're talking 90 days from right now, we're talking August 24th. That's not that long. By the end of summer, you'd have a tiny home set up, whether it's temporary or permanent. But pretty quick, compared to brick and mortar, new construction, pretty quick.
I'm just amazed. And the other thing that I realized is for farm worker housing, one of the key issues is land, and many farmers have great acreage, and many farmers are also struggling with worker issues. And this is, what better than housing is a worker retention program?
Right.
It's really phenomenal, but again, finding the land, finding the space, and then, of course, addressing all of these permitting issues and then resource needs that we can work out. And there's new innovations. I mean, there's tank pumping and, like you talked about, planned communities. We can work on some of these planned communities where people can live in a tiny home community where then we have shared facilities like shared laundry facilities and a park and other things where we can bring people and build communities together in a way where it can be done quickly, inexpensively, and we're getting people into homes expeditiously.
True statement. Yep.
Well, Jennifer, I'm so glad you could join us on the show. Our work will continue. We're going to make some connections, you and I, reaching out to people, and you're already making connections far and wide, working on the resource side. So let's start working with government together and share some of these options. And it's just this time. It's such a huge need.
Perfect. Thanks for having me on, Pam. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being on. Great to hear your voice. And it was great seeing you the other night. And thank you so much for being on. And thank you for all that you're doing. This is really tremendous work, and I truly appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. We'll have you on again soon.
Thanks.
This is Business Matters, sponsored by Mokulele Airlines.
Mokulele Airlines operates the largest commuter airline hub in the country, right here in Kahului. Fly Mokulele from Kahului to Molokai, Lanai, Hana, Waimea, Kona, and now Hilo. Mokulele also operates the only flights between Kapalua and Honolulu. There is never a middle seat on Mokulele, and every seat has a window and aisle. Visit mokuleleairlines.com and take your next flight from the newly renovated Mokulele Terminal.
Welcome back to the Business Matters radio show. Here's your host, Pam Tumpop.
Aloha. You can see Gary and I are tag teaming. I've been a little under the weather, but we are excited to be hosting the show. And our next guest is the local leasing manager at Queen Ka'ahumanu Center, Gigi Brown. Aloha and good morning, Gigi.
Aloha, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yes, of course.
Well, on everybody's mind is what's happening in retail. We're coming into the summer, and we'd love to get your perspective on what you've seen since March Madness, what's kind of happening through the summer, and what you're expecting in retail through the end of this year.
Oh, so we're actually really excited here at the center. We have definitely seen an increase in sales. Our traffic is coming through. Travelers are back. Our local customer is back. We've definitely seen some big successes, especially like at our local leasing businesses. A lot of those are small businesses, our mom and pop stores, the ones that have come out like truly from the entrepreneurial mind and just started to grow. We've had some brands even grow in our center over the last few months. We are in our 50th anniversary here at Queen Ka'ahumanu Center, so we have some quarterly events that are also planned throughout the year. So combination of our retail sales plus our center core events, we really plan to see our sales and activities increasing throughout the year. Now that we're in summertime, we have a lot going on as well. June comes Father's Day. We also have some really exciting new store openings coming up soon. So we're really excited for the summer season because a lot of this ideation and all the hard work and planning is actually coming to fruition this summer. So it'll be really fun to have the community involved in that as we see them walking through our center.
That is awesome. Well, let's take a moment. Tell us about this 50th anniversary.
It is the 50th anniversary of our center. We kicked off Queen Ka'ahumunu's birthday, our center's birthday, with the Ahahui Ka'ahumanu. They came and they laid the queen at center court, which is a very beautiful, intimate ceremony that really kicked off our birthday year. We had all of our tenants or whatever tenants could come in attendance where we blessed the entire center. It was a wonderful way to bring in our birthday. We will have we had one Kama'aina music event where we had Palafuga. Our next one will be in June with Isaac, I believe his name is. So June 17th will be that next event. We have partnered with the Morning Makeke that is normally hosted up at the Wailuku Doja Mission. So we have that also quarterly, having that outdoor market come to our center, which is a great way for local artists and crafters to get some exposure and really test our demographic here at the center. We'll have, what else do we have? We're in the works with some other markets, really reaching out even to outer islands to see what other Hawaii businesses are looking to expand here in our center and on our island.
Well, it is a great time, and what we have seen is that people who have been for years building a following, and then through COVID, people have wanted to see them and visit them, but maybe weren't ready to get out. Now with reopening, they're excited, and it's great to hear that shopping's rebuilding. So
yes.
Tell us a little bit. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, to your point, it is. It's great because we had a lot of these, creative minds that were just kind of trapped in their everyday work, and they had that COVID time and quarantine to really get those ideas out of their brain and into action. So it's really nice to see a lot of these new entrepreneurs and new brands popping out, and it's really fulfilling to be a part of that, to getting that exposure. So I really enjoy that as well.
And how long have you been with the company?
I've been with the company for about almost 7 months now. I joined in November, so I'm loving it. I'm loving it so far. QKC is my home. I've been in this center for about 8 years in various roles, but I've left the island. I've come back. This center is where my heart is for some reason. I love it. I love the shoppers and our tenants, our merchants. There's relationships, so you live on an island, so it's fun to be a part of that growth.
I'm so glad. Well, welcome back, and glad that you're continuing in different roles, but this new role for you is awesome.
Yeah. So
let's talk a little bit about you've got new store openings and pop-ups.
Yes. So we'll start with some growth here for maybe new locations. We have our Foam Company brand, which has been here for a number of years next to our Macy's Women's Building. They will be coming to the center of the front of the mall. So as soon as you walk in, we're going to see a nice, beautiful Foam Company right there in the front. We have brought in a retail brand called Tanoa Hawaii. They are in Oahu right now, some beautiful pieces. So ladies and gentlemen, you're looking for some new aloha wear, there's some really nice stuff in there. I'll be coming soon. For our football fans, we'll be having Football Fanatics. We have our coming soon sign up there. You should be seeing that right before football season comes up. And we have Maui on Stage. Maui on Stage is a community theater group. Their theater is up at I'au in Wailuku. They just completed their Wizard of Oz, the deleted scenes. That was really fun. So it's nice to have that community program in our center. And we just welcomed Maui's first Cat Cafe upstairs on our second level. So you'll be seeing the Cat Cafe Maui opening soon. And they're partnering with several nonprofits as well, with cat adoptions and retail and just really some interactive fun things for the family.
Oh, my goodness. My daughter on the mainland used to send me pictures of these cat cafes. Now, unfortunately, I'm highly allergic to cats, so I won't be there, but I love all animals and love cats. But what a fun thing, and what a great avenue for adoption. We've had so many stray cats over the years. Thankfully, our Humane Society has done an awesome job taking care of our cats and getting them adopted. But what a new, cool avenue, and it's something that people love. I mean, the pictures that you see on social media are phenomenal with the animals laying around while people are just enjoying a latte and having fun or relaxing or reading a book while the cat's there snuggling next to them. So that's opening when?
That will be coming this summer as well. We have a tentative date for July. I mean, who knows? We may get there a little bit earlier, but we're getting there quickly. It's upstairs. It's really nice because it's nice big windows, and you can kind of walk by. She has a QR code out there. You can learn as much about the program as you want. You can kind of see the transition of how they're taking over that space. It's really nice. It's fun when I walk out in Center Court and I see shoppers kind of stopping outside and just watching the magic happen over there. So it's a really fun thing. come in.
I would absolutely do that, even though I couldn't go in. I would just love to be, peering through the window, hopefully not being perceived as a creeper, but peering through the window.
I'm allergic to cats as well. I will be looking from the outside.
Yeah, just to see. And then, I haven't yet heard of a dog cafe yet. I keep waiting for that craze to take place, and I'm guessing then if that happens, we might want them on opposite ends of the mall spectrum, maybe. But
right, we can't have too much conflict in the middle of center court.
But what a fun and cool thing! It's always great to see new energy in the mall and to see new and exciting stores open up. Yeah. And then some of the pop-ups that you've got some seasonal pop-ups over the summer?
Yes, so we have a few vendors that are in line to come up. We are still kind of waiting on, getting those set in. We are seeing some obstacles. Living on an island, shipping is kind of hindering a lot of these things. So we have a lot of people lined up. We're just waiting to make sure the product gets here. That way the shoppers can have that. So I'll keep you more into what's to come. But like some of our successful ones that we've had in the last few months, we've had Puleluhua. She was our last one here. She made a big mark during Merry Monarch Week. She got some coverage on the news. We have Hanua Designs should be coming back soon. Hanua does some beautiful gold and Tahitian pearls. And then I believe we have one more fine jewelry person coming in. I don't have that locked in just yet, but we'll have a lot of jewelry coming into the summer just to see who wants to stick it out and stay with us.
That is so cool. And where can people find these updates? Can they find them on your website?
Well, we have our tiles on our QueenKa'amanuCenter.com website. I also have we have our social media following, so if you follow us on Instagram at QKC Maui, on Facebook, Queen Ka'amanu Center. I have my local leasing one, that's the QKC _ Leasing Wahine. But there's different ways that we just kind of keep those out there. But our biggest thing is through our social media. And if we have a big one, we usually just ask our tenants or our pop-up merchants, hey, send us whatever you have. That way we can share it. So we're seeing that now, where people are getting really creative with their their marketing collateral, their imaging, and their videos and whatnot. So that's we're sharing it with whatever our social media platforms are, as well as our public relations team.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, one of the key things that we're seeing across the board at the Chamber is worker shortages, and it's affecting every industry. It's a huge challenge, of course, in restaurants. It's also a huge challenge in retail. How are tenants handling worker shortages? And I know, especially in some of those small pop-ups, sometimes they only have one worker managing the pop-up. And so how are they handling worker shortages, and what, if any, challenges with Omicron counts going up have you folks seen there?
Oh, just like every place else, definitely staffing has hit our center as well. And it's unfortunate because a lot of these merchants are they're smaller, they're family owned. So when one's down, it kind of goes on. But, the good thing about being in our community is that there's always someone there to kind of help out or lend a hand. One thing I do like about our center is the relationships, like I said before, but, having that clear conversation of what's going on. That way we can work with one another to see what we got to do. Sometimes you'll even see one worker in one store going over to another, which I thought that was kind of neat. I walked in and I was like, hey, you don't belong over here, but they become friends. They're trying to help each other out. We didn't host it. MEO hosted their career fair a couple weeks ago. We had a bunch of tables out there. So we're aggressively trying to create some kind of outreach to let people know that we are looking. Whatever advertisements they're putting out there, we're trying to share it as much as possible. Word of mouth, Indeed, LinkedIn, you can find them everywhere. On our website as well, QueenKa'amanuCenter.com, we have our careers page that has some tiles, and I believe there's 6 different roles on there already. So as these positions are opening up, they're letting us know. We're trying to post and get some exposure as much as possible. available. So if you have anyone out there who's looking for some employment, there are lots of stores here looking in our center.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because it is such a considerable challenge. And, you know, we want to support our small stores, and retail is a fun job, actually.
Yes, it is.
You get to interact with amazing people, and it's a time when people are really excited to get back out and shop, and it's a great way to earn a living as well as learn tremendous skills that will benefit you in your lifetime. So how exciting, and good to know that that's all available. So, Gigi, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about what's going on at QKC?
Nothing other than just stay tuned. Keep coming through. There should be something new happening every couple of weeks. You'll start seeing some windows opening, some collateral coming out. The summer's here. The kids are going to be in our center, so we're trying to find things to do to keep everybody, busy and keep them here. Other than that, just stay tuned with what's happening, and we'll let you know as soon as something new comes out.
Oh, that's so exciting. Well, thank you so much, Gigi, for joining us this morning and for giving us that retail update and QKC update. So many exciting things happening there. Love to see the fun pop-ups coming in so that we get to experience new things. And, of course, we hope they stay. But it's also a great way to rotate companies, who want a chance to come in and try and see how it works for them and learn some great lessons as they build their company so that when they're ready, they can come back.
Yes.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed Maui day.
You too. Have a wonderful day, Meter.
Thank you. You too, Gigi. Aloha.
Aloha.
All right. Well, this is Business Matters brought to you by Mokulele Airlines. I'm your host, Pamela Tumpa, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, and it's always exciting to hear what's happening in different industries and where we as a community can support retail and these businesses, and to hear what's new and exciting about their lives as we're coming out of COVID. Our next guest is Wendy Acosta from Maui Sweet and Spicy. And Wendy is a prior guest that we've had on our show over the years in different iterations of Business Matters. But Wendy has been doing phenomenal things with her company and now has been a part of a pilot program that's exciting in the state of Hawaii, as well as pivoting during COVID. Aloha, Wendy. Are you there?
I am here. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Oh, so good to be back with you. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. And a lot has been happening. And
oh, my goodness. Of course.
Yeah. And, we did get to see each other, and I was so glad that we saw each other at the Celebration of the Arts and the amazing falsetto contest. And we were able to talk about the Pakolea Pitch program, which you have now participated in to gain opportunities and guidance and expertise to help refine pitches for wholesalers and distributors. Tell us a little bit about what it's been like participating in this program and what it means to your business.
Well, it's been an amazing experience. I have been fortunate to be in several different cohorts since COVID started. A lot of people stepped up to the plate to help us small entrepreneurs, pivot and find our real niche. This is the first one that literally simply prepares us to pitch to distributors and allows us to, this is going to be first time face-to-face, in 2 years. And it's been very, very good preparation and kind of a culmination of 2 years of work refining Maui Sweet and Spicy and looking forward to a new path in the future. So I'm excited. Don't know what's going to come out of it. I'm almost afraid of what's going to come out of it. But it will all be good. Yeah, it will all be good.
Now, this cohort this was for women-owned business. So how was it working with or being in a cohort with all women?
Oh, until you said that, I didn't even realize it. But of course, it's amazing. It's amazing. We've had great synergy, great support across our businesses to help each other, refine pitches, look for resources. I've even found some folks that I actually want to modify my labels so that some of the facts about our ecology and our INA here are on my labels for everybody to understand how important some of the things are here that we need to protect. So I love having that kind of connection, and I love having that kind of opportunity to collaborate and having organizations pull together to put on this kind of training for us. Goes way beyond the value of the training and way beyond the value of the pitch, because it's that experience that creates these networks between us as owners and women and entrepreneurs that will continue way beyond this cohort. And I think that's one of the strengths of doing business in Maui, is that COVID forced us to look at who we are and what we're doing and how we're doing it, and doing it in collaboration as an ohana is just powerful. So really excited to have that opportunity.
And it's connecting. It's a statewide program, so it's connecting businesses from women-owned businesses from across each island in the state. And I'm not sure that they got every island represented, but they've got great representation from each major island. And
I think they got Molokai too. Yeah,
I think they got Molokai. I don't know if they got Lanai.
Okay.
I don't know, but I'll have to go back and look. But I do know I did see they had someone from Molokai. So really exciting. I've really enjoyed getting to be one of the, I don't even know what they call my role, I guess coach or advisor, but getting to participate in reviewing and commenting on pitches. But what I've heard from the participants, and you've gotten to do many of these opportunities, so your feedback is so valuable, is just that interjection of knowledge, but also having opportunities to practice and get feedback along the way to refine has been so helpful.
Yes, because you can, as you know, many of us have been working, solo or in isolation due to the situations that have happened over the last 2 years. And so you can only talk to yourself so much, and you can only speak to yourself so much. And you don't hear what other people hear, and you don't see what other people see. So this opportunity to have a cohort similar to this is priceless, really, as far as being able to grow personally, but also to grow our businesses to another level.
Yes. So what are some of the most important lessons that you've learned from the feedback you've received?
Don't think small. And
good.
Just to, you've known me for a long time. I've done Made in Maui every year. So we go way back. And one of the things that, as you're aware, I made every year for Made in Maui, and only for Made in Maui, was my bacon crack. Yeah. But one of the ahas that came out of being involved with Pop-Up Makeke is that my bacon crack is very popular.
Yes.
And people want it more than just Made in Maui. So we are
there's a reason that you called it bacon crack, right?
Well, yeah.
Because we get addicted to it.
It is, and the story on that is the poor little security officer that you always stationed across from my booth at Made in Maui every year would say, "What did you call it bacon crack?" And my standard answer now is that not all addictions are bad for you.
That's right.
And that's been our ongoing joke every year. And it is, it's a meat snack. It's keto-friendly. It's good. It's airplane food. I got stuck in the San Jose airport, and I thought, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'll find a restaurant. I'll have breakfast. I'll do my Zoom. No restaurants in the concourse I'm in. No food in the concourse I'm in. Thank goodness I had a pound of bacon crack in my purse, and everyone that was on my flight was very grateful that I had bacon crack because there was just nothing. And I did not expect that in airport bigger than Maui. So it's good to-go food. It's a great snack, and it's been a lot of fun to take this baby to the next step and help it grow.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's an absolutely delicious snack, and I love that you bring up this example because it is bacon, so it is protein. So if you're traveling and need a snack that gives you a boost and some protein, that's a great healthy snack to have. But it was sort of an offshoot of some of your other products. So why don't you tell people a little bit about that pivot as you've been doing your other products with Maui Sweet and Spicy for years and having these great flavors that you could add to your coffee or create delicious drinks. How did you then really tell the story of how you pivoted or created Bacon Crack to begin with, and now that sort of real pivotal moment where you've launched Bacon Crack now as a major product line?
Yeah. As you're aware, and the audience may or may not know, we manufacture the Aloha Spice Cacao, which is a dark spice chocolate and has great cinnamon, cardamom, nutmeg, cloves in it. It's also diabetic, keto-friendly, and turns out high flavanol and good for your brain. Didn't know that. That was another aha during COVID. And we also use our products in that little line to create other products. So I've developed 2 spices that incorporate one of our flavors of Aloha Spice Cacao. And while we were out doing a tasting one time, one of the customers looked at me and he says, "Oh, you should put this on bacon." And I thought that was a hilarious idea, disgusting, and never did anything with it until one day I was making bacon, and I thought, well, what? Let's see what happens, right? I drenched it in the chocolate and ate it and went, oh, my goodness. And then I only created it for Made in Maui after that. And, again, Pop-Up Makeki picked it up during COVID, and they just kept ordering bacon. They kept ordering bacon, and I'm like, oh, maybe having a ready-to-eat snack is a good thing.
Yeah. Well,
and it's been a learning curve and learning experience. I have to secure a USDA-certified kitchen to get big enough to put certain numbers on my label, to be able to work with the distributors we're going to pitch next week, but all things in their time, and it will happen. And we're just going to continue keeping our eye on the goal and keep walking this path and see what unfolds.
That's tremendous, Wendy. Honestly, as I hear you talking about this, and I've seen your journey, Aloha Spice Cacao's products and that product line were delicious, also beloved, and people really cherish those products. And it's one of those journeys where it's odd to hear the story, and here you've got this one person making a suggestion. You don't necessarily jump on it right away. You experiment with it, and then in a pandemic you find out that's the product somebody wants to carry. They blow it up, and here you are, and it's looking at how to focus and where the growth is coming, and then looking at those new market opportunities, and as you say, thinking big. Stop thinking small. Let's look where those great opportunities are. What a great journey.
Yeah. It's been amazing. You've been with me all this time, so I love touching base and catching you up and talking story a little bit about what's coming next. And after this, who knows what I get to do.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I've known you long enough to know that there is so much more to come because you love to innovate and create new products.
Well, and my potential journey into another totally different thing, which circles back to my experience in life, is I might possibly get to create some programming and resources for the Ikaika Ohana, who's building the low-income housing.
Wow.
And work with them across the state to create community. And I don't know if you know that one of my passions is creating community based on the culture. And so I'm really, really hoping that door opens too. how I'm going to get it all done, we'll figure it out. But, it always seems to work. But I just am thrilled that I have been asked.
Wow.
And I'm excited.
Oh, how exciting. Well, we were talking about housing earlier, and I will tell you, any opportunities to create low-income housing are so important right now on Maui. We all know that we're in a crisis state. We've been in a crisis state, but the threat level is on high, really high.
Yeah.
So it's a key issue for the Chamber, one of our top priorities. And I don't think it shocks anybody anymore. And when we first started making housing a top priority for the Chamber, I think people were wondering, usually it's economy and community, but housing has just really risen, and not just for us. I mean, it's a statewide challenge, so great to know about that. Tell everybody where they can find your products.
Well, unfortunately, Pam, a lot of the businesses that I worked with before COVID aren't here anymore, so we are reestablishing relationships with vendors. But Two Tooth Pantry has many of our items. The Bacon Crack is at the Tropical Plantation and the Hui no Al, and at Mahalo Ale Works, the new brewery upcountry, carries one of our flavors. Otherwise, you have to order online at MauiSweetandSpicy.org. Or .com, sorry. And we're continuing to look for vendors with products on their shelves.
That's easy to do, though. Let's get everybody either going out to those locations or ordering online. You're going to love it, I promise. Wendy?
Thank you so much for supporting me all these years, and it's great to catch you.
Thank you. You are a treasure to work with, and we have loved having you in Maid of Maui County Festival all these years, and just really appreciate all you're doing in our community. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too, Wendy. Aloha. All right, folks. That is getting very close, if not the end of our show. I'm Pamela Tumpah, president of the Maui Chamber of Commerce, wishing you all blessings and best wishes for a beautiful Maui day. Mahalo to our sponsor, mahalo to our sponsor, and aloha to them as well, Mokulele Airlines.